Hey, welcome back to another episode of Wholistic Conversations. I'm your host, Brittany, and today we have Terra on. I am super excited to have him on as a guest. I mean, his music really is deep, it's touching, and it's very heartwarming. So please help me in welcoming Terra. Hey,
How's it going?
good, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, and I'm thankful for you being here, and I'm excited to really get to know you and see who you are.
For sure.
All right, so let's hop into it. At the beginning of every episode,
Okay.
we pull a card, okay? And these cards are random. They're just going to help us get to know each other. So you can pull a card.
Pull that middle one right there.
Okay, there we go. I'll pull one. So you have two questions on the card, and let's pick a question and we'll answer it.
Okay.
All right. You want to go first?
I'm looking. These are heavy.
Ooh,
They starting off heavy already.
That's good.
Okay. I'm starting, right?
Yes, let's
All right.
go.
What makes you a good parent or child, and can you do better?
Okay.
Now, specifically me, or am I answering this generically?
No, we're talking about you.
Me specifically.
Yes.
I'll say I'm a good parent because I attempt to approach my parenting from the aspect of the good parenting that I received from my mother. I use that as a guide, but then also the absence of my biological dad. I let that be a guidance as well. So I feel like that keeps me on my P's and Q's
Okay.
as far as being a good parent. Now, what I define that as would be spending time. I feel like that's all kids really care about. You know, you could buy them whatever, you could take them wherever, but just that quality time that they have with you. And then as far as to improve quality time, spending more time. You know, sometimes when you're grinding and you're building something, it's easy to get caught up in the grind to the point where it's a little difficult to balance it all. You know what I'm saying? To balance the parenting and the entrepreneurship and all these other things you got going on throughout the day. So I would say a better parent would just come back to quality time too.
Yes. And for me, I feel like, read the question one more time.
What makes you a good parent or child, and can you do better?
Okay. Yes. What makes me a good parent? I'm a good parent because I don't know. I love my daughters. They challenge me every day.
Yeah.
And I feel like I instill in them the important things about life outside of education. Them understanding their minds, how their mind work, how their emotion work, different ways to channel your emotions. So if you're upset, take some deep breaths.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't feel like I received that as a child, especially the idea that we have thoughts that goes on in our mind and they can make us do things if we listen to it. So telling them they have the power to understand, the power to change their thoughts and understand they are not their thoughts.
For sure.
Ways I can improve is, I would say, just being more patient. I feel like, our days are fast. They go, they move, right? It's high energy, but with a kid, they're at a lower frequency. So they take their time a little bit more. Like they take their time walking. Like,
for sure.
you know what I'm saying? So really being patient is a way I feel like I can improve.
Okay, I dig it.
Okay. And so my card read, when were you the angriest? And I would say, the last time I feel like I've been angry is when I don't feel like I'm treated fair. I feel like everybody deserves to be treated fairly. So I would say that's the last time, or the time I've been the most angry.
Okay.
What about you?
Let me think. I'm pretty even keel. I'm chilling. I'm thinking about last time I got turned. Well, I'm like angry. I take disrespect very seriously. And so I'd probably say the last time I've gotten angry like that would be, let me think. I know it's something to do with disrespect because that's my trigger point.
Yeah.
Time I've been the angriest. I'd probably say dealing with my kids, I'm not gonna lie to you. They sometimes can be challenging, and sometimes I have to catch myself because it's just that natural instinct when they come out and say something beside themselves. But then I have to reflect on myself too and remember like where they getting it from, right? It still has to be something that they've seen or observed, or something that I need to have nipped in the bud possibly earlier. You know what I'm saying? But I probably say that's a source of my joy and anger at times.
Yeah.
I would say.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like they bring out that in you, but that's just you.
Yeah.
So like when you reflect on your life and you think about like a time where you feel like this moment made me Terra, like who you are as the artist, as the dad, like what moment made you feel like this is me? Because I feel like as we grow, right, as we get older, we have moments where we don't really know who we are.
For sure.
Right? So when was that moment you realized like, oh, this is me?
My defining moment of figuring out who I am. I would say I had a defining moment of figuring out what I am. I would say what more so than who. I feel like who, I feel like that can evolve. You know, you can always expound on that. You can always recreate. You can always redefine. But I feel like what you are remains constant, right? Like if you find out you're a tiger, you're a tiger. There's no change in that. I would say that happened with probably like my first spiritual experience. I had some edible marijuana. If we get into that, that's the truth.
Yeah. Let's get into that.
I had some edible marijuana, and I had an encounter. I had a super heavy encounter, and that was really like a big eye opener of like, okay, this is what I am. This is how I relate to the world that we're in as it exists.
Okay, let's talk about that though. Like, okay, you took edible marijuana. Do you remember how many milligrams? Because I know certain ones really be taking you through.
This was this is some backyard production type stuff, right?
Okay.
This isn't from a dispensary.
right. Where you get the dosage and everything.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't really trust some dispensaries, so you know, it's always gonna be some homegrown from somebody.
Right.
It was really just an out of body experience. I spoke to God. You know.
Okay. So this is this is good. This is deep. Because in my notes, I was going to hit on conversations with God.
Okay.
Talking to you because it seemed like you do have that, just listening to your music. Like this is our first time meeting, first time having a conversation. But from your music, I can tell that you have a really good relationship with the God that has both trials and tribulations in it. For sure. So, so finish your conversation.
It was really a chance to speak to God, not from a religious outline. Not from a biblical outline, not from anyone else's observation or opinion. At this time, I was very heavily in Christianity. That was what I subscribed to. And I was anti-marijuana. I didn't use marijuana. That wasn't a thing. But I ended up getting back pain, and the back pain was like excruciating. And I'm also anti-Tylenol, Advil, all of those, over-the-counter type joints. So with that being said, I was like, I need like a painkiller. I had bad sciatica. So I was like, I need some type of pain relief. Ended up sourcing some edible marijuana, took it. And it was like, I wasn't prepared for that because even before that, I'm not a weed smoker. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not using.
You wasn't into like the other like psychedelics or.
No,
okay.
This is me as a devout Christian. This is me like, no, that stuff is the devil. Like this is me as a straight up devout Christian. And I did it solely for pain relief, and it went somewhere completely different. But I spoke to God, hands down. I spoke to God. Like I know people have their opinions on that, but I spoke to God, and I heard a lot of stuff. It was interesting, Yeah, it was very interesting. But I would say that was really like a defining moment for me. Like that really shifted a lot of things. And even with the use of marijuana, really understanding what it meant to our people historically, before it became something that we use recreationally, where people just getting high and they're looking for the za and they're looking for gas and they're looking for moon rocks, all these different exotic things where the THC content is, 50%, 23%, you know what I'm saying? But really just that organic experience that the creator made the plant for. You know what I'm saying? Is a highway. It's a spiritual highway. That's really what it is, if we're being honest. It's a spiritual highway. Now, I will say, just because someone uses it, I wouldn't say they're going to speak to God. I feel like it depends on what your intentions are. You know what I'm saying? Just like when you hop in a car, like you go where you want that vehicle to take you.
Exactly.
You know?
So let's take it back to this conversation with God.
Okay.
Because I feel like different psychedelics, drugs can take you on different experiences. And tell me, like, okay, I need to know the setting. Like, were you just eyes closed? Like, did you hear something? Did you see something? Like, how was the voice? Was it really quiet? Was it really loud? Like, help me. I want to be in that experience of you, like, talking to God.
I was at the house. Like I said, I was at the house. Solely took it for my back pain. About an hour and a half went by. Kicked in. Whole room changed. Whole room just shifted. Whew. Can't explain it. Whole room just shifted. And I just heard a voice that, honestly, the voice is very reminiscent of my voice, if we're being honest. You know what I'm saying? It was my voice, but it was information and knowledge that I didn't have, nor was I exposed to. So it was God, you know, like, this wasn't like, oh, okay, I was raised reading esoteric books, or, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing like that. I was completely ignorant to that entire world. You know what I'm saying?
And what was that one thing that God said that stood
Really
out?
stood out? It was a couple things. It was all religions have truth in them. What they all agree on is what's true. What they disagree on is what's false. So you could take all your major religions. They all agree on a concept, right? You got a good versus evil. You're supposed to be on the path of righteousness versus the path of unrighteousness, all that. But then when you start getting into the details that create the division, that's the man-made stuff that's been added. I also heard that God doesn't care about anything outside of love. Like, that's it. Everything else is man-made. Everything else is man-created. Like, love is the defining point in our existence here.
Yeah.
And that will map out our religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's probably one thing that all religion groups can agree on.
Yeah.
God is love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's good. Okay. And so that was that defining moment that made you, okay, who I am. So after that, did you start taking more marijuana?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That did it. Oh, yeah, that did it. Because I'm like, it's open now. It's open.
Yeah.
And
so that must have been a really big shift from you, like being Christian, defining yourself as Christian. You live amongst these rules.
Yeah.
And then to step into this, what do you call it? Like, this your spiritual awakening, this, because there's a detachment that you have to do as well when you break free from Christianity.
Big detachment.
Right? From family, people looking at you different, you changing, they asking what happened. So how do you navigate that?
I'll say this. Naturally for me, I've always been a person that doesn't really care what people think. I always move to the beat of my own drum. So as far as relationships are concerned, that wasn't too difficult, right? Because people are like, okay, cool. That's how he moves. He's going to do what he wants to do anyway. As far as just the culture shock within myself, even coming down from my first experience, it was just wild because it was a culture shock, I was raised with a certain idea, a certain concept, certain principles, and immediately it was all shattered within, maybe a 30-minute experience. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how long it was, you lose time, you lose time in that realm. But let me make sure I'm answering your question very specific. Reword it for me again, or repeat it for me.
What was that journey like of detaching yourself from Christianity to this new side, this new awareness that you developed? Like, because because I'm imagining you're breaking free from a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So then, but you're confronted with this truth.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, but all of this I knew, why would they teach me this? Like sometimes that can result in anger because I know people that found out the truth about what really happens in the world and they upset. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So like, how did you navigate all of like that chaos really of like breaking free from what you knew to like what you know?
Okay, I dig that. I'll say honestly, it got me deeper into Christianity. Weirdly, it got me deeper into Christianity because a lot of the things that I heard and I experienced on my spiritual journeys, a lot of it was backed up with scripture. Interestingly, like a lot of it. I remember one experience I had. I used some marijuana, and I heard go to Genesis 32. At the time, I would say that I was someone who was decently versed in the Bible, but obviously I didn't know every single scripture. You know what I'm saying? I heard go to Genesis 32. I go to Genesis 32. It's a story of Jacob, and it's where he becomes Israel, right, at Mount Pineal. And then I heard a lot about the pineal gland, and I'm like, this is in the Bible? You know
like
what I'm saying?
That little gem?
That's
gems?
in the Bible?
Right.
That's not what the pastors was telling me when I was in the church. That's not what any pastors are telling anybody. I can't think of anybody on Sunday who's being taught about Jacob becoming Israel at Mount Pineal, you know? And then the people might try to debate you, well, the spelling is different. It's like, dude, it's the same transliteration, no matter how you cut it. But so I would say it got me deeper into it, yo. It got me deeper into it, and it made me start to question. It didn't really, I feel like some people, they wake up and then they run very far from where they started because they feel like, okay, that's bad. So let me go entertain anything else that's contrary to that. Or maybe even let me entertain things that thing said was bad. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people leave Christianity and go deep into what people would call witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, Christianity deemed it as dark, so that must be the way.
Right. So instead of you running, you connected the pieces.
Yeah, I connected the pieces.
You connected the dots.
Yeah, I went in deeper.
Okay. That's cool.
I went in heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in heavy. It's so much stuff. I mean, like Malachi chapter 4, verse 2 talks about the Son of Righteousness shall rise with healing in his wings, right? And it spells Son of Righteousness, capital S-U-N, right? But yeah, you flip over Malachi into Matthew, and now the Son of Righteousness is now Jesus Christ. But yeah, you go one book back into Malachi, the Son of Righteousness is S-U-N, capital S. Right? Not lowercase s like you're just talking about, oh, water, wind, tree, right? Inanimate objects. Capital S-U-N. And it's like, I mean, come on, that's...
Could you spell God with a capital G?
Does that mean nothing? Is that there for decoration? What's the capital S for? Who's going to explain that? You know? So it just made me start digging deeper into what I already had, what was already in front of me.
That's a beautiful thing. Like connecting those pieces, because then you have those aha moments. Like, oh, it's been here all along.
It's been all along.
You know, we just gotta dig a little deeper or have those spiritual awakenings to allow us to open up. You know.
Yeah.
So how do you merge that with your parenting? Like, how old are your children first?
How old are my kids?
Okay. Uh-oh.
No, I know how old they are. I'm just super private about my kids. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. I'm just trying to see, like, did you know about this information before you had children?
No.
Or okay.
No.
Got it.
All this came prior to my first child.
Okay.
All this came prior to my first child. But they're being raised with it 100%.
Those connected pieces, telling the truth.
And to an extent, because honestly, like my oldest is my son, I kind of still leave things open-ended for him because I still want to steer him in the right way. But in the same breath, I kind of want to see where his mind can go. I want to see where God inside of him can take him, right? Because I feel like a lot of it is activated by thought. And he's already thinking. Like, you know, he asked me, he was like, one conversation we had, he was like, Daddy, who made this place? Like, we're living on Earth. Who made Earth? And it's interesting because I never asked that question because I already had an answer. When I was his age, somebody already told me who made Earth, right? They already gave me their idea or what they were taught according to their, you know, their ideology. And I was like, well, who you think made Earth? He was like, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I said, well, for lack of better understanding, we say the creator made Earth. And he said, okay, the creator made Earth. So who made the creator? And I'm like, I can't tell you that one. I don't know who made the creator. The creator self-created, you know, but then once again, it's like, okay, so how? And I never want to kill that how in him. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm very strategic in sharing information with him to make himself stronger within himself, but still never killing his wonder. You know
the curiosity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's important.
Yeah.
So when did you find out that God is within you?
When did I find out God was within me? I feel like it was written. I'm not gonna lie to you. I always felt it. My biological given name is Emmanuel. So the whole concept of God is with us. I feel like that's something that also happened in my spiritual awakening, like the expounding of what that concept means, right? Like they would say God is with us means like, oh yeah, Jesus is on earth. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, God is with us. Like God doesn't exist outside. Like it's in us. It's in you. And then if you want to get more technical, if God is in you, but you're not your body.
Then what are you?
All right, then you got to connect the dots.
Right.
If God is in you and you're not your body, you're not the outside of you.
Yeah.
Somebody got some answering to do, you know? Yeah. But everybody has their own journey of exploration to get to, so.
No, that's important. I think it's really important that we understand who we are. We don't get taught that.
Yeah,
like I say, teaching my children about their thoughts, and they're not their thoughts. And really, you're not your body.
Yeah.
We're really just energy is what I concluded with my research. Like, we're energy beings, and our body is just the vehicle, right? Yeah. And what do you feel like your purpose is?
My purpose?
Yes. Because I feel like as humans, we're brought here on a mission to fulfill something that God placed inside of us. So what do you feel like God placed inside of you to bring to the world?
For me, purpose is like a loaded question. Okay. And I'll tell you why. And this is even a part of some recent epiphanies of mine. A lot of times I look at purpose as this big thing, right? Like, what is this thing I'm supposed to do to impact the world? You know what I'm saying? Purpose, that's the concept of a purpose. But I've kind of found myself going like back inward recently to the point where I'm thinking of purpose of my family, right? Like, yeah, the world is a beautiful place. Yeah, you have to make an impact in the world, but it's like, what's my purpose with my family, right? These are the people who I'm connected to by blood. These are the people who they need me, right, on a day-to-day basis. So I feel like for myself, that's the first piece of how I view purpose now. Before, it was more so changing the world type thing. Right. Now it's more so the impact on my family, the impact on my kids, et cetera. That purpose, you know what I'm saying, to provide and to protect, like the real primitive concept of purpose. Because I feel like purpose changes. I mean, I feel like if we're talking 600 years ago, before Europeans, you like profanity on your show? Do you mind it?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it. Before Europeans started fucking with us, you know what I'm saying? And it was way before that, but just conceptually, let's just say we can go back 600 years ago, even 3,000 years ago, right? What is purpose then? What's purpose when we're all living in harmony? What's purpose when, you know, we're not just consumers, but we are providers of what we need, right? We have the knowledge of how to build our homes. We have the knowledge of how to grow our own crops. We have the knowledge of how to make our own clothing, right? And we all live in harmony with each other. What is purpose at that point?
When you say that, it makes me think about, so basically you're saying everyone is set. They live comfortably. Yeah. We're all in unison. No one has more than the other. Everyone is eating well, clothed. We living in a community. So after that, I feel like it's about the minds coming together to create something bigger and better, right? Life is about evolution. So I don't think like it would just all stop there. I think collectively then everyone would come together to build something. I don't know. I don't know what they would build. You know what I'm saying? But I think that would be the next part after that.
I could dig that. For me, on an internal aspect though, I feel like everything that we build and evolve on or towards should always reflect back to happiness within. I feel like happiness is like a good barometer of that. You know what I'm saying? And so I guess what I'm saying is like, I guess in today's time, in my observation, I feel like purpose means something different today than it would 3,000 years ago.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know what I'm saying? Like at that point, once everything is good, you know, it's like, what's purpose? What really is purpose? For this time period now, I feel like my purpose is to assist my people getting back on track.
Getting back on track to where?
We got to clean up. We got to, and when I say clean up, I'm specifically talking about street culture.
Okay.
Like, I think everybody has their own thing and we all, like, it's not a one-man show. Everybody has to have their assignment, their place. You know what I'm saying? My purpose that I specifically feel drawn towards, though, is that street culture shit got to die. It gotta die.
What, because I'm oblivious to street culture.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, when you say it, I'm like, okay, what is street culture? So exactly what is it?
I'm talking about popping perks. I'm talking about the lean. I'm talking about calling women bitches. I'm talking about the degrading of our women, even outside of just the words and the names you used to call them, but how you view them, how you observe them. I'm talking about the objectification of our women. I'm talking about lack of knowledge of self. I'm talking about the murder, the killing. Even when you go into music, the glorification of it, right? We're not just talking about people who are actually murdering and killing, but we're talking about it being glorified. And I'm not painting this picture. I don't believe that the world ever was a perfect place. You know what I'm saying? I think you always had outlaws. I think what's dangerous about our people now, though, is that our outlaw behavior has now become like a very strong pinnacle. You know what I'm saying? You have too many kids being influenced by outlaw behavior. And I think that at the end of the day, like I said, outlaw behavior, I don't think that could be eradicated from society. But for our people, I think that it's too strong. It's way too strong right now. Way too strong. The killing talk, it's out of pocket.
And where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Brooklyn.
Okay. And how was your childhood? Did you experience that in your community?
Absolutely.
Or did you also live it as well?
I'll say this. I'm not somebody that was ever from the projects, right? Like I don't have a project story. What I will say though is that where we lived in Brooklyn, and then even me moving down south to Charlotte, I've always been like around it. I've always had friends. I've always had, you know what I'm saying, associates.
So you was an observer.
Yeah, but I never, like, I would fight a lot. You know what I'm saying? I used to fight a lot when I was younger. But as far as when it came time to actually get into it, I just never saw the point. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was always interested in girls. Like that was my thing. I like women. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, if we keeping it a buck, I don't get the obsession with like while we in the club and you sit here thinking about ops and that's kind of fruity if you ask me. It's so much beautiful women in here and you sitting there mugging me as I'm walking by you. I don't see you. I'm looking at her over there. You know what I'm saying? Like I never understood the concept. I think to me, I think it's a little homosexual. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is, and I'm not. It's not a matter of knocking anybody and what they choose. I'm just talking about call an ace and a spade a spade. You know what I'm saying? I think to call yourself a heterosexual male and you wake up and all you're thinking about all day long is kicking it with your homies and who you want to ride on and what dudes that's kind of obsessive. You know what I'm saying? My interest was always and always has been, I want to spend all my free time, you know, with women. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my interest. You know what I'm saying? So that was my thing growing up, you know, girls. That's always, I mean, since I was like 4, 5. Okay. That was my thing.
So how was your relationship with women?
Oh, I love women. I love women.
Have you ever like got your heart broken?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I was young though.
Okay.
I was a young boy.
How was that like? How did you get your heart broken?
I was 15. It was a year-long relationship, which I feel like at 15, that's a long time. Like that's a lifetime when you're 15, right? First serious real girlfriend. I was visiting a family in Brooklyn. I'd already moved at the time. I was visiting a family. And before, I ended up getting into a fight over her with some dude who said that she made a comment about, it was some childish, he say, she say type stuff, right? So I confronted the guy. Me and him ended up getting into a fight. Whatever. Flash forward, maybe like a month later, I'm in Brooklyn. I get a phone call that my homeboy sees her at the mall with the dude.
With the same dude.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You bugging. So I come back, I confront her. I snatch her phone. I was a little more wild at this time. I was more aggressive. I snatch her phone. I'm going through, and I'm seeing her talking to dudes or whatever, and it shattered me, but it changed me.
Yeah.
It changed me. Not for the bad.
Okay.
Just a bit wiser how I move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you move? How did you move after that?
Because
for some men, like you said, they could take that and be like,
just become dogs.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Emotionless and just, doing bad boy behavior.
Bad boy behavior. I say it kind of just put me, and I feel like I was green. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I was green. I was 15. But I will say that it shaped my perspective on trust. It made me less gullible. I used to just give trust. Now people have to earn it.
Yeah. That's good.
That. But it didn't give me a cold heart towards women. Not at all.
And how was your relationship with your mom? Because you can choose women based off how you was raised. You mentioned you was raised by your mother. Your biological dad was absent. Yeah. So how was that relationship? Oh,
my mom's that's my ace boon coon right there.
Yeah.
That's my homie. Yeah, for real. Our birthdays are a day apart, you know what I'm saying? So it's really, it's a bond. Like we got a bond. But yeah, best friend all throughout. Like that's another thing. I never was like big on a bunch of friends. I always had like 1 or 2 homeboys that I would kick it with. You're never gonna catch me with like 20 friends. I don't play that. But like my mom, that's my confidant. That's my homie. I told everything. Like I lost my virginity. I told my mom, like we didn't really have like a secrecy kind of you know what I'm saying? And it was still respect. Like right. I was still afraid of her. I didn't cross the line. But yeah, we had an excellent relationship.
Okay, that's really good.
Yeah.
And then you growing up without your biological dad, how did you channel that energy? Because at some point, I'm assuming that there was a longing for your dad presence and everything. So how do you channel that as a young male?
I'm not gonna lie. That's why I used to fight a lot. I think that's why I used to fight a lot. Or always getting into something. I was angry. I used to be angry. I used to walk around angry. I used to have a lot of, I used to be really short fuse, really short tempered. And I would say now I've transmuted it now at this stage of my life, but not growing up. Not growing up, it used to rule me. Even when I felt it didn't bother me, it still bothered me.
Right.
Yeah.
And then how do you transmute it? Like, what did you have to go through? Was there questions you asked yourself? Or was it you learning something new about him that made it be like, oh, okay, I understand? Or like, what was that process of?
It was 2 things.
Okay.
It was having my son, because that put a lot of emphasis on, because I'm not going to lie. I kind of, it's a flaw of mine where I can like block things out. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of buried it. But when I had my son, I feel like it brought it all flashing back to my face. And, that really affected how I became more aware of the healing that I needed to do. And then secondly, I would say I went to Trinidad to go visit him. And it's interesting. I didn't want to because at that time when I went to go see him in Trinidad, I think I hadn't seen him in, let me do the math. It might have been like 17 years, I think, something like that. Yeah, about 17 years since I last saw him. Went to go visit him in Trinidad. Was a big step. But I will say the good thing about it is that I got to see how he grew up, and it made more sense to me in his absence. Like, I excused him.
Right.
But
there's a point of understanding now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was able to forgive him after like seeing. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, still not excusing the behavior, but as far as my experience and my healing that I needed to do, I understood.
Yeah. And it's just like humans. We're just human.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like sometimes when we're in relationships with people and they do something bad to us that we don't like, we forget that they're human.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And because we have this expectation of how they should behave.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a really profound thing. Whenever I look back at my parents and be like, oh, you could have did this better, you could have did that better. But in reality, everybody tried their best, you know, and everybody got their own stuff going on. Yeah. So the more I grow, the more I realize, like, you know what? I can give them grace. But when you're young, you don't know that.
Yeah, no,
You
for
like
sure.
you're in it,
Yeah.
you know.
No, for sure.
So that's important. And so that first interaction after 17 years without seeing your dad, how was that? Did you like release emotionally? Was it still like that bent up anger? Was it like nervous? How was that?
It was all of that.
Yeah.
It was all of that. It was still some built up anger or whatever. We had a little weird interaction where he said something about like the stage of life that I was in at that particular moment, and I hadn't spoken to him. And it was kind of weird because it was like, damn, we still have DNA. You know what I'm saying? Like that was kind of weird for him to be able to like pinpoint exactly where I was. And then he made a comment. He was like, you know, I know I didn't do the best, but at the end of the day, like I am you. I was like, huh.
No, that's deep.
Yeah,
That's
so.
deep. And he's from Trinidad.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So how do you create your music? Like where do you find like Bloom.
Yeah.
Bloom, that's my favorite song.
Appreciate it.
It talk about the mind and like being hard on yourself, overthinking. And I'm like, ooh, I am that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how do you find your peace when you're overthinking, and how did you like cultivate that song Bloom?
I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the times with those songs, especially like Bloom, I write them from the place of overthinking. So it's not really like I wrote it from the triumphant side. I wrote it from the triumph, not the triumph, the actual tribulation side. You know what I'm saying? Being in that moment, and because that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from. Like I'm experiencing a feeling or an emotion at this time, and so I write it to get me through it. You know, but as I release it, my intention is that, because after I create the song and I make it, it takes my mind off of whatever it is that I'm going through, you know? And so that's always the intention when I put it out, to be able to assist somebody, for someone to feel that same energy, that same frequency, to get through it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So how did you find your peace in overthinking?
My peace in overthinking really just comes from meditation. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Settling the mind.
Yeah, breathing
Yeah.
exercises, standing outside, you know,
Grounding.
barefoot in the grass, dirt, etc. Staring into the sun, you know, sun gazing.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation in itself. In nature.
So sun gazing is you literally looking at the sun.
Staring into the sun.
And they tell us, I remember I did that, but then I Googled it and they were like, don't stare into the sun.
Yeah, they always tell you that, of course.
So what are some of the benefits of sun gazing?
Oh man, so your pineal gland processes sunlight. So you should be sun gazing. Like it's a part of our makeup. We're supposed to be sun gazing. I would say for people starting out, you definitely want to start when the sun is mild. You know what I'm saying? So you want to catch that sunrise, that sunset. You know, not the glaring sun. You know, not no 2 p.m., 3 p.m. After a while, you can work your way up to that. But starting off when it's like that. But as far as the benefits of it, light carries information. So, you know, you can receive some good stuff from pertaining unto your own growth and your own evolution while you're here from doing sun gazing. I'll say that's the number one benefit. Like, yeah, you can, you know, realign your circadian rhythm and all those type of things, but going more metaphysical definitely assists with your journey here.
Yeah.
And the information you need to get to the next step.
And so you say, okay, feelings, right? We all got feelings, right? And right now we're actually in a stage as far as social media where we're dealing with the feminine and the masculine. And everybody feel like it's either one or the other, right? So typically they associate feelings with a feminine trait, right? So you as a man, right, saying you have feelings, how do you manage your feelings without them being overbearing? You get what I'm saying?
No, I dig it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm somewhat hypermasculine, is what I've heard from people around me to assist me with my reflections. So I feel like I never really get out of whack. When I go into my feelings, I never feel like I can go too much. I honestly feel like I need to go more. You know what I'm saying? If we're being honest, I feel like I can always dig more into my feelings, but it doesn't really affect me because I don't limit myself to like a false man-made paradigm. You know what I'm saying? I feel like when you're trying to fit yourself into a man-made paradigm, then that's when the balance becomes a little difficult. And okay, well, I'm a man, so I'm not
I
supposed to
should
have
be like
feelings,
this
and I should
and-
be like this. I
Okay.
don't think I should be like nothing.
But
I should
you.
be like me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I should be like.
Yeah.
And, you know, my grandfather instilled enough masculine energy into me to where I can afford to go super into my emotional feminine side of my energy, or whatever you want to call it. And I feel no threat at all to, you know, anything to do with that. And besides, I love women. So like I said, that's not, you know what I'm saying?
And that's how you connect with women more.
Exactly. Yeah, you know.
It's actually strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, no, because more men need to understand, like, it's okay to feel.
Yeah.
You know, and growing up, depending on how people grew up, it's like, you're a man, you don't cry. Like, even if you have a son, you're raising your son cried, tell him to get up. But it's like, no, we're built to feel. That's really what makes us different as humans, as animals, right? We can feel. So I think it is important for men to tap into their feelings and to, you know, feel, empathize. You know, that's actually a part of emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
To empathize and put yourself in other people's shoes and everything. So I think that's a really great skill you have.
Appreciate it.
To be able to balance the two.
Thank you.
So, but I'm really excited to get to know your thoughts on creation, right?
Okay.
Like I feel like creation is the birth, right, of something new. And where you're at right now, you know, you're an artist, you're releasing music. So how do you find your creation? Because sometimes it can be hard as an artist to continue to, you know, nurture your creativity. You can have blocks and everything. So how do you keep that spark going as far as your creativity?
I feel like the biggest thing with keeping that stream of communication open between you and your creative self is to be in a good state. I feel like that's what it really comes down to. I noticed that sometimes I do have artistic blocks. I'm not saying I don't, but I feel like there's a science to it all. I don't really believe that anything is just happening like on some coincidental or, oh, I'm just not in the mood right now. You know, I really feel like it all comes down to the headspace. You know, are you happy? Are you doing what you want? Me and a homeboy of mine was just talking about this like 2 weeks ago. I was saying that I feel like you can activate that flow of creation by how you map out your day. On a day-to-day, we do the things we have to do. That's just that's the society we're living in right now, right? That's the basis of your day. You do what you have to do without necessarily balancing what do you want to do today, right? And want is an energy. Like want is an energy because that's your desire. So when you go day to day, you wake up and then you go through an entire day of suppressing your desire, your want, your will, right? You're suppressing that throughout the whole day because all you're focused on is what I have to do, what I have to do. Yeah, eventually you're gonna hit a lot of those creative blocks because you're killing the same hemisphere that all that lives in. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take for myself. I have to be intentional about doing the things that I want to do, not that I have to do. You got to do what you got to do, right? But you still have to incorporate time and for that. This is what I feel like doing right now. This is what I want. This is what I want to do. Right. And I feel like when you do that, it keeps that energy alive of that creativity because they all it lives in the same space.
No, that's really deep. And I feel like you're really good at like finding that balance, right? It's like, okay, making room for God and then making room for like the things I have to do, right? Yeah. Because like you said, you have to leave that part of that curiosity because that's what birthed the unknown. That's what birthed the newness in life. For sure. So I feel like you're really good at that, finding that balance, which is really important. So I enjoy your look. I think you have a really dope look.
Thank you.
And I want to know about your hair. Like what is your creation process on that? Did it just flow? Because you're a flower, right?
I'm a flower.
You're a flower.
I'm a flower, yeah.
So what do your hair mean to you?
It means a lot. It means a lot. These are my spiritual antennas, you know. I free-formed them. I've wanted this hairstyle for a very long time. But it organically came about. I moved to Mexico. I went to the Yucatan Peninsula, and I just got a chance to really like get more in touch with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started my free forms. And they mean a lot to me. Not in a sense of if I feel I'm supposed to cut them, I won't. Or if I have to do it for a rebirth, I won't. Not from that perspective, but in a sense of it goes back to kind of what I was talking about, that the energy of will. You know what I'm saying? Like what you want. This is how I want to express myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't really care that it doesn't fit into society's norm, or, you know, like this is what I want to do. So I feel like it makes my creative energy stronger because I'm feeding into my desire, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel like God has placed a vision inside of you?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about it?
It's a lot of visions. Let's a vision pertaining unto what specifically? Are we talking like career wise? Are we talking
just
personal?
You, whatever comes to mind, that's the strongest. It's like, that's the vision that I know is meant for me. Because like you say, we do have different ones based off like, okay, this is my vision from my artist standpoint. This is my vision from my family. But like, which one of those visions are like your strongest vision?
I say the strongest vision is, like I said, I love my people.
Mm-hmm.
I love my people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're lost badly. And when I say we're lost badly, I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, look at this Black excellence here and this Black excellence here. I feel like in my observation, you're as strong as your weakest link, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't care that there's 40% of Black people winning when there's 60% suffering, or 30% winning and 70% suffering, right? I'm going to look at the conglomerate. And when I look at who's being affected and impacted, that's the biggest vision I have. The biggest vision I have is to get it to where the next generation of young boys know who they are, they know what they are, and their culture of what they identify as cool shifts. Mm-hmm. Right? These boys don't know what no perks are. They don't know perks are opiates. They don't know that's opium in pill form. They don't know that. Mm-hmm. Right? They don't have the science behind it. They're just doing it because it's cool. It's the cool thing to do. They've used, these people who own these record labels. They sign these guys to these $1 million contracts, and they put them out there to be influential. Mm-hmm. And the young boys follow the influence, and they just do it, and they on autopilot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So same concept, but on the flip side, to really rewrite that perspective. What I'm working on right now is called the City of God. That's what I'm basing out of Charlotte. Mm-hmm. The reason why I'm doing it out of Charlotte is because emphasis on City of God. The Charlotte's area code is 704. So the 7, if you go alpha numerical, the 7 is the G. The O is the O, 70, and then 4 is the D. So I really want to birth it out of there. This wave, you know what I'm saying? This wave of like, and it's not really to be anti. I don't want to stand with a picket fence saying, stop popping perks, stop killing. Mm-hmm. Not really that, because that's not what they did. They didn't really preach to the boys to do it. They just used individuals that they would look up to say, I do it.
Right. Influence.
That's it. So it's not really to preach, it's just to influence. Mm-hmm. So that's really what it's about. It's about creating that wave of influential, a real influential vibe that is to build, not to destroy.
Right.
Right.
Because we're stronger together.
Yeah.
Right. And if people knew that, like, I'll just go back to the same thing every time, like just who we really are. Yeah. We can build something magnificent. And I definitely think with your influence, especially with your music and how you think and the balance you create, will definitely help that shift. Because I think it is happening. I know it's happening. Yeah. Especially even with the music, we have more artists nowadays that are tapping into their like just positive influence. I call it good music. Just good music to listen to. So how do you think your music is different from the mainstream artist music that people listen to nowadays? And why aren't more people like you signed?
Oh, that's because we dealing with God versus the devil. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's light versus dark, good versus evil. It's the age-old story. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's all it really is. And as of right now, evil is up. Mm-hmm. Evil is up right now. But, just for a time period. Okay. We about to swing it back over. Mm-hmm. About to swing it back over. Why aren't more artists like me signed? They don't want artists like me signed. That's our enemy. You know, we got to know, even on the journey of self-discovery, after you learn who you are and what you are, you got to learn who hates you, who dislikes you, who ripped you away from your last name, who took away your language from you, who took away your spiritual practices and your customs from you. Who did it?
Right.
All right. Who did it? And then you find out the same group that did it is the same group that owns the record labels. And then you find out that the same group that owns the record labels are the same groups that had a hand in slavery. And then you know what I'm saying? It's just it's a big deeper, connected thing. So I don't expect them to want anything to do with a concept like this, unless it's a rogue agent, it's somebody playing both sides of the fence, it's somebody who's a false prophet. Then, you know, they lift them up to get the message out there, but it's really with still an ulterior motive to it.
Right.
But I would say the biggest difference between my music and the mainstream music is the intention. Mainstream music is intended to destroy. My music is intended to build. That's it. It's life. Everything I do, I want to produce life. Yeah.
Okay. And you said you feel like, as far as like the community and helping people and like shifting the culture of men, what is your meditation practice, and how would you say meditation helped you?
My meditation practice really, like I said, is if we're keeping it a buck, it's really sun gazing.
Okay. So you're not like just sitting on the floor, legs crossed every day at a certain time.
Nah,
so you said sun gazing.
I don't really get too religious. And what I mean by that is like set to a
too
particular
much into
set
a
practice.
Okay.
Nah, I live.
Okay.
I live, and everything that needs to find me for whatever season I'm in, it always finds me. Whatever I need to start practicing more, or whatever I need to step away from, or whatever I need to do. You know what I'm saying? If I need to fast, if I need to do a season of semen retention, it's all seasonal. Like I don't make myself live a rigid lifestyle.
Right. Because that can also then take that creativity once again.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta be in the moment.
You know what I'm saying? So yes, that is very important. And okay, so we did talk off camera a little bit about your lifestyle as far as how you eat. So how did you stumble upon veganism, plant-based living? Like, what was that journey like? Because I know for me, it was, I never really liked meat growing up, to be honest. I was more of a chicken tender girl.
Okay.
Like, I can go to a steakhouse growing up and chicken tenders, you know? So once I watched What the Health, and I seen, okay, chicken's not good either. Yeah. Let me cut that out. So that was like how I transitioned to eating a plant-based lifestyle.
Okay.
What was your journey like?
Going back to the spirituality again, it was a spiritual encounter. I had some edible marijuana. And let me think back to the specific moment. Had some edible marijuana. I was sun gazing. My brother's dog ended up coming up to me. This is a true story.
Okay.
My brother's dog came up to me, and I heard, this is the most transparent I've been about this story. I heard, kill him. I'm like, what? You bugging. I'm like, all right, now I'm hearing some other energy. This is some dark forces trying to get up in the mix. All right, no, kill him. I heard, put your hands around his throat and take him out, kill him. I was like, no. Like, whatever energy that is, I started pushing it back. And I heard, exactly. And I'm like, exactly what? And I heard, that's not your life that you gave, so that's not your life to take. And after that, I never touched another animal again after that. Like, as far as eating. Because I heard, like, that's life. I don't have the right to take life that's not mine. That's not my life. You know what I'm saying? And I know, depending on what society you're in, different people create different hierarchies of what is a life, what is sentience. You know what I'm saying? How much value do you place on it if it can't communicate like you, if it can't create a society like you? But for me, that was my conviction. My conviction on it was purely spiritual. It really wasn't based on health. Not to say that anybody who does it based on health, I disagree with, but for me, it wasn't health related at all. It was more like a moral compass kind of experience. And
how do you navigate the dark energies? Because I feel like, you know, that's something to talk about with meditation, because, you know, like you said, there's good, there's bad. Yeah. So how do you navigate that? Because that can be a lot sometimes.
It is a lot. Diet.
Mm-hmm.
I think diet plays a very big role in dark energies because your mind is the portal, right? And a lot of times what you put into your physical will affect the unseen, you know? So if you are eating a lot of processed foods and eating a lot of dyes and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, artificial sweeteners and stuff like that, yeah, I think that can jack up some stuff, you know what I'm saying? Especially even, I feel like one of the biggest dark energies right now, it's not as fancy metaphysical because we see it in a day-to-day, but I think it's very strong and heavy is depression. You know, I used to battle depression a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
so do you feel like depression is an accumulation of negative thinking?
I think it's a lot of things.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of things. I can't necessarily narrow it down to one thing. And I'm pretty sure some people who have experienced depression might want to jump down my throat and say, you can't try to.
But off your personal experience.
But my personal experience, yeah, I feel like it's negative thinking. I feel like it's a lack of gratitude. And I feel like it's diet. And I think it's what you do on your day to day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You locked up in the room all day, yeah, you're going to be depressed. You know what I'm saying? Once again, are you feeding that energy of desire and will? Right? You're literally suffocating yourself. And you wonder why you're depressed. Have you done something that you like to do today?
Right.
You know?
So at that time, so what were you suppressing? Like when you say you battled depression,
yeah.
Where were you in your moments of depression?
I'll be honest. My biggest depression came from the music industry. Me wanting to get in. And at the time I didn't know. I didn't realize that God was protecting me because I was supposed to create my own thing. But just wanting to get in, knocking doors and kind of getting partially in. I lived out in LA for a bit. I've had, you know, encounters where I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm in there now. You know, I've got connected with this guy or that guy and he's legit. He's big time, you know, and we start chopping up. Everything's good. Tell me, oh man, I love the music. I love the image, et cetera, et cetera. And then boom, door shut. You know, that over and over and over and over.
That rejection.
And especially it'd be different if people were like, yo, you suck. You know what I'm saying? Like your shit is whack. You need to work on that. That's different. But it's always on some like, nah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then, you know, door shut. So I would say that was the main source of the depression that I had. But once again, it was still a lack of balance because I would also say during that time period of my life, I wasn't doing things that I wanted to do. I wasn't doing things that brought me joy or brought me happiness. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't spending time out in nature like I should have been. I wasn't, you know, putting my feet in the earth like I should have been. I wasn't sun gazing like I should have been. I wasn't doing the things to keep myself in line. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I think that depression could be overwhelming.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, and it can take you down some dark paths.
Absolutely.
So, and I think another thing to help with depression is talking, communicating to others and releasing it because sometimes it's all in you and all bottled up and, you know, only you know what's going on. So to release it and to just put it out there, it's like creating space for something else to flow inside of you. So before we get out of here, what's one piece of advice you'd like to give the world?
One piece of advice I like to give the world.
Yes.
Find God.
Okay.
Find God. Find God within yourself. And let the chips fall where they may.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's strong. Find God. Yeah. For sure. No, thank you so much for coming out today. I think this conversation will enlighten some people. I feel like they should take away a lot of tips from this conversation, especially grounding, being in nature. I feel like you said, those are the most important things we need as humans, is to just be and to discover more things about ourselves, leave room for curiosity, and to just nurture who you are and being silent, finding your stillness and listening to that small voice inside of you. And so I'm so thankful to have you on today.
I'm thankful that you had me.
I'm more excited. I'm really excited to listen to more of your music. Do you have any new things coming out? Any new projects you want to tell the people about?
I do. I'm about to release a track called Jubilee. That's going to be coming out at the beginning of the spring solstice. Okay. So I want to boom it right there. And it's about, it's about our people and liberation and love and light and all that. Okay. All the good stuff.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear that and let the people know where they can find you, social media, YouTube, everything.
You can find me at, it's going to be Terra Grata. That's TerraGrata. That's on everything. That is YouTube, Instagram. I say everything. I'm not even on a bunch of stuff. But yeah, if you look on streaming services or Instagram is really the only social media platform I use. And I hate social media. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I hate social media. I just do it because it's a necessary means to an end.
Yeah.
But
and it's very helpful because I was like you too at some point. Yeah. But then I realized the power of social media and really even creating this podcast and just putting yourself out there. I mean, it's really opening doors and creating opportunity. So, and that's actually how we meet, how we're sitting here today.
No, for sure. No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I dig that.
Yeah.
And it's a positive and a negative to everything.
Because you don't want to get addicted, finding yourself scrolling.
That's what I'm talking about. When I say social media, I mean like the bad. But yeah, you're right. You got to look at the good too. So I would agree.
Okay.
For sure. But Terra Grata, TerraGrata. That's on everything.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to Wholistic Conversations. I'm your host, Brittany, and we had Terra today. Give me some, because today was a really good episode. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned for more. Like, comment, subscribe, and tell us what did you enjoy most about today's episode. See you all soon.